Greetings, I'm your host, Jason Miles, and welcome to another episode of This is Revolution Podcast for all the returning listeners, subscribers, and of course, our very valued patrons. So glad to have you back. To those who may be new to the channel, thank you for taking a moment to check us out. If you do dig what we're doing here, please hit like and, of course, subscribe. It is a very passive gesture that goes a long way in promoting the channel. Just a brief reminder that if you do indeed dig the wide variety of programming that we provide here on TIR, and you want to make sure we can stay on the air, and you'd like to join us for our movie nights, which are coming up next week, and champagne rooms, become a patron or a paid YouTube subscriber. When you become a patron or a paid YouTube subscriber, you get access to champagne rooms, past and present, and past movie nights as well, for as little as $3 a month or $30 for the year. You get the satisfaction of knowing that your small donation goes a long way of keeping TIR on the air. Now, let's get into what you guys came here for. Our interview with the Hipster Grifter. Webster defines a grifter as a person who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. That word in the parasocial world of media has been conflated with a person who says stuff I no longer agree with. Our guest today is a real-life grifter, a small-time con woman who, before the era of, maybe we should say, before the explosion of social media, became an internet sensation, the Hipster Grifter. Here is a passage from her strikingly intimate and comical autobiography, You'll Never Believe Me. What the fuck? Is this you? So you don't have cancer? You lying bitch. The dings were like bullets in my chest, each one causing a shudder to rip through my body. But the last one from Julia broke me into a million pieces. Over the next couple of days, things really went gangbusters. Multiple news and gossip outlets picked up the story, but one took as obsessive an interest as Gawker, a site dedicated to pop culture, celebs, and New York media, aka the literati. Gawker was making multiple posts about me, rarely referring to me as anything but Hipster Grifter. Sometimes up to 3 or 4 a day. There were interviews with past boyfriends, leaked nudes, which the Philadelphia Inquirer actually fucking linked to people, guesses as to why I did what I did, and most importantly, where I was located now. People were submitting sightings of me to Gawker Stalker and the NYPD. My email was blowing up with inquiries from reporters. A Google search for Hipster Grifter brought up thousands of tweets and countless articles from across the nation, and a handful of international mentions. One from Italy is particularly memorable, referring to me as the filth. Napkins and matchbooks I had written on were being sold on eBay. Someone made fake action movie posters with my face superimposed over the lead star that were being wheat pasted around Brooklyn. There were t-shirts and paper dolls and bingo cards. Though a lot of what was being said was true, there was a fair amount of non-factual information in the mix. My name was spelled a number of ways. My age varied by 2 to 4 years. The amount of money I had stolen ballooned up to $150,000, but it didn't matter. No one was paying attention to those details. No one cared that it was my warrants that totaled $60,000. I hadn't stolen $60,000. No one cared that there was a person behind the memes. All I wanted to focus on was my race subservient. All they wanted to focus on, was my race subservient Asian gone bad and my sexuality. She's a crazy slut down for anything. It obviously didn't help that I had used those stereotypes to my advantage to con so many people. The story had all the snappy features of what makes true crime fascinating to so many people years before the genre really exploded. Twitter had only existed for a short period of time, and virality was a new concept that people were really latching onto. My head spun as I read all of the horrifying comments and tweets. I had the wherewithal to realize that my roommates and the rest of my friends were going to figure out who I was very quickly. So I planned on doing what I did best. I was going to disappear. I grabbed the giant suitcase out of my closet room and stuffed my meager belongings into it a mere few months after they were suffocated inside the first time. I looked at my small bed, the one that would have to be chopped up into smaller pieces to get it out of the room, and thought, here it is, my lasting legacy. Before I walked out for the last time, I grabbed a Sharpie and I lay it on my back, scrawling my name and the year on the outside of my bed frame. No one may ever see it, I thought, but at least I knew I was there. That is an excerpt from our guest's book. And coincidentally enough, I spelled her name wrong on the thumbnail. Please welcome the hipster grifter, the former hipster grifter, Kari Ferrell.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on. Also, I think that you should have been the one to read my audiobook or like record the audiobook. I would so prefer, and I'm sure your audience would so prefer, to listen to your voice versus my voice.
I think they'd rather listen to your voice.
Maybe we can run it back. I'll talk to the publisher and see what's up.
Man, I'm always down to find new ways to pimp myself.
Yeah. No, you and me both.
You
Part of the problem, cautionary tale.
you wrote a hell of a tell-all, and let's start at the beginning, because I think the beginning plays a role into maybe why some of these things happen. And this really doesn't have to be an indictment on what you did and why you did it, but I think your upbringing is an interesting story. Now, you are adopted, but you were adopted by a family that lived in Utah. As a person that toured the bowels of the United States for several years, there's not a lot of you people in Utah.
It's true. There are not. And so I was adopted from Seoul, South Korea, when I was 6 months old. And my family, at the time that they adopted me, actually lived in Phoenix. And when I was 2 years old, the Mormon missionaries came knocking on the door, and, they said, do you have a moment to learn about your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? And my family was like, we have more than a moment. We have an entire lifetime. Come on in. And so, mere months later, we ended up packing up and moving from everything that we knew, including all of my extended family, to Utah. And so, my formative years were spent there, and I very much was one of the only people who looks like me. And, now Utah, Salt Lake City, it's a bit better.
Were you in Salt Lake, or were you in like Provo? Were you like in the outskirts? Were you in Salt Lake?
So I was in a suburb of Salt Lake City. Yeah. So it was definitely an experience. And people, when I think that part of being known as a liar, even though I've done everything I can to rectify that, people also think that I'm like super hyperbolic. And so I'm like, there was no one who looked like me, but really there was no one who looked like me. And I'll pull out like yearbooks and stuff, and I'll be like, no, look.
I've been to Utah. I've been to the region as well. It's not like you go to Moab and all of a sudden there's just like a little Korean village.
Right. No, there's no version of, at least when I was growing up there was no, Chinatown, Koreatown, any sort of district, for example. It was all just different flavors of white, of which, by the way, there are many. There are many different flavors of white. People also don't realize that.
But growing up in that environment, you still had friends.
Yes.
And you talk about in your teen years, you get this group of friends, and you guys sound like the bad kids that hang out behind the school and smoke cigarettes.
Exactly. Exactly. It's really interesting. I also write about, because there was a huge period of time in my adolescence where I identified as being straight edge. And straight edge, the
Was a gang there.
movement, it's massive in Utah, and it makes so much sense, right? Because it's people who more often than not, almost always, in fact, were raised Mormon. And so the pipeline it's a very easy transition, right? Because you're like, okay, I already don't smoke cigarettes. I already don't drink coffee. I already don't, quote unquote, poison my body. But I'm fucking angry because I live in an oppressive society. What am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to listen to loud, angry music and thrash around, in a pit, which I obviously was so attracted to. But that was kind of that was sort of the bad kids of of Salt Lake City. There should be a reality show, maybe like Hardline
Bad kids of Salt Lake, bad
Hardcore straight edge of Salt Lake City.
Well, can I ask this side question? What was one of your favorite bands? Because this has to be like the heyday of metalcore, because you're a little younger than me.
Yeah, I mean, I was also, like Hardline was really big there. So it got even deeper. There were just a lot of vegan bands, vegan straight edge bands. So there's a band called Cherem that I really liked. There's a band called Clear that made waves around the country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on with them anymore, but yeah, I mean, I loved, and I still continue to love very heavy music.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think that, it's so interesting because now too, I guess when I was growing up, it was Starbucks, they were still telling their baristas, to cover their tattoos. It was not as prevalent, obviously, as it is now. And so I feel like back then it was really easy for people to like identify me as being a person who was like a part of this subculture.
Did you have gauged ears?
I did. I definitely did. I mean, I got this tattoo. I don't regret it, but I got it when I was 18, and it is something that I definitely would not get now. But it was for sure because I wanted to be a part of this.
Yeah, you were like subtlety, schmuddlety. It's interesting you don't say the used, so I'm assuming you think they're posers. Is that what it is?
I don't want to say. I do love to talk shit. I know some of them, and they've always been, their music hasn't always been for me, but I appreciate what they've done for the scene. Is that like
was
a really
the nicest way
political democratic answer to be like, pussies?
They're too soft for me, bro.
More double bass pedal.
I need some beat downs, bro. We got to bring you up. So we do music shows here. We actually recently did a fun show behind a paywall. And we discussed the heavy metal that came out in 1986.
Oh, fun.
With Doc Coyle from God Forbid and some other friends.
That's so fun.
So. But back to you. So what scares me in your book, and I'm reading it with my mouth agape for a lot of it because there is a rawness to it, is the first instance where you get caught. For me, would have been the moment where it's like, maybe this isn't cool. So you and the bad kids that smoke cigarettes behind the school are stealing stuff like a lot of young people do, right? You're kind of shoplifting from stores, and you got accused of stealing a cell phone. Am I saying that right? Can you tell, or do you want to tell us? Because you want to tell that story?
No, you're right.
Can you expand on that story a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it was the first thing that I took that I can recall from a person that I knew. It started really, again, like you had mentioned, with stores, stealing from stores. And it was very much a part of this like pseudo manifesto that we had, right? Of like, we only steal from large corporations. I mean, we say bad kids, but really it was just people who were like, for very good reason, especially in Utah, disgruntled with the way that things are, but we did not know, and I'm not making excuses, but like we just didn't know how to channel that. And like you said, it's super easy. I mean, yeah, stealing, let's be real, stealing is fun, or it can be.
It's a
Or at the
phase
very least
for a lot of young
cathartic.
people.
And
Yeah.
you know, we turned it into a game, literally. We called it Scumbag Olympics, and it was like, who can steal the smallest item, who can steal the largest item, the least expensive, the most expensive, you know, and then we'd all gather and compare. And the winner got to go home with everything. So
What was the coolest thing
the coolest thing? Well, I
Yeah.
remember the largest thing was a bag of dog food. The smallest thing was like a screw, you know, like when you go to like Home Depot, when you get like a single screw. The coolest thing at the time, I remember it being very cool, but it was like I mean, it's not cool. It was just like, whoa, technology was like a mini SD, like a micro SD card for like a camera. It wasn't, we weren't taking, that's the other thing too, is it very much was born out of, again, maybe this like misguided, you know, us thinking that we were some sort of revolutionary, you know, but also just boredom. So, but going back to your question, the first time that I really crossed that boundary was this cell phone. And it wasn't even really, it wasn't a friend's cell phone, it was their little sister's cell phone. And they actually had a little store, not like a grocery store, but just like a little you know, everything store. And it was sitting on the counter, and I swiped it off of the counter and left. And they found out that I had taken it, and they were not part of the group of friends that I was stealing things with, but they were part of the straight edge community. Anyway, it ended up with me at a show, so at a venue, like outside of the show, with a gun being pointed at me.
Gun. That is the scene in the book, and I'm like, motherfucker, this is the first chapter.
Was it? Like, buckle up, baby.
Yeah, I'm like, no, like nobody fucking, and I'm waiting for it to end badly in a pistol whip. Do you think, hindsight's 2020 and dramatic, do you think had a shot went off or you got pistol whipped, do you think maybe your stealing and grifting days would have been over and you would have just covered your tattoos and got the Starbucks job?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's so hard to say. And I feel like the what ifs will kill you. I'm also a super pragmatic person and very realistic about myself. So a lot of, you know, people are like, oh, I'm just capitalizing on, you know, my crimes. I'm just trying to make money in the only way that I can. And sure, there's definitely monetary, you know, we all have to make money somehow. So that is a factor for sure. But the way that I look at things, we do ourselves a disservice as a society by being so rigid in our thinking. And that's not to say to negate any of the actions that I took. It's more about that I think that I was just such a confused person, and I did not know how to channel that energy. And I had so many questions about literally, you know, who am I? Where did I actually come from? I don't know. I have very, very, very little information about even, you know, what region of Seoul I was born in. You know, and it's interesting because a lot of people, and I don't want to say they take it for granted, they might not even think about it. I guess that is part of taking something for granted. But, you know, a lot of people can pinpoint to the hospital that they were born in. And so I think I was just trying different masks on, different costumes to see where I fit in, you know, and at first it was like the costumes that were being put on me. So that's, you know, being just like a good Mormon girl, being, you know, the good Asian student. For the lack of diversity that Utah had, the racism was very high. Like, it's so interesting because I'm like, how did people even know to be racist if there were never people who looked, it was just like, you know, but it's like the subtlety of it all. in this, I think I write about this, you know, I don't think that I was like an ugly kid, but I also don't think that other kids knew to think of me as anything besides just, you know, this person who doesn't look like us. Like people didn't have crushes on me. It wasn't like you know what I mean? And there was no visibility. It was always like the one person, it was like Lucy Liu, right? And we love Lucy Liu. And it is not offensive to me at all whatsoever. What an honor to be told that you look like her.
That's
but it
the
was
only
kind of
one they
like,
had. They just like fuck Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and Brenda's song.
No, because I think that I was born in 87. So I'm 38. So I think I was just a little ahead of that. Yeah, so I think off of the trajectory of what you had asked. So having a gun pulled on me. I'm sure that had it got more violent, it would have changed something. I also wonder, you know, would it have caused me to make even worse decisions?
The racism and the fish out of water is a big theme in the early parts of the book. And I was telling you this off air. I was in a relationship and toured with a woman that is Filipino, but the more Asian-y looking kind. And
which is a real thing.
Which is a real thing.
We all know what you're saying.
You know, okay. And she said similar things. You know, we drove a lot of places in those 150 shows a year we played and had a lot of time to have deep discussions about our childhoods. And she grew up in Canada. But where she went to college or university, it was majority white. And it really kind of fucked with her sense of self, that she didn't really feel pretty. And then she toured before we met as a very young person with a very popular Vietnamese group who also told her really mean things about why she couldn't be a singer. She was too short, her nose was too flat, she was too dark. Which are probably things you never. That's like a different kind of Asian hate that you probably didn't hear as much. But I remember we were working on a Mormon kids TV show called Yo Gabba Gabba, and we were hanging out with some other people that worked on the show, and she was having one of these, just kind of a similar thing that what you're saying, and it was a white woman was like, "What do you mean? I think you're hot. Like I'm just a regular ass white girl. Like you're the hot one." And you do say in the book that, you know, hey, guys like me, but it's still a little different. Do you think that, I don't want to say if you grew up somewhere different because you don't know, but eventually a lot of the book has to deal with you and men and manipulation. At what point does it kick in that maybe you are the exotic other in this place, and there's some social capital to be gained with that?
That's a great question. I think that I subconsciously, or, you know, surface level, always felt that way, right? Because the thing is that I was very, I guess I should say, accepted, right? Yes, kids are cruel and they'll say whatever the fuck they're thinking. So I did get a lot of like, why is your face so flat? You know, why didn't your real parents want you? That kind of thing. I think that it was when I was around 8 years old, that is in the Mormon religion, when the age at which you get baptized. And I remember being told, there's this scripture that they have removed since.
Yeah, I know exactly the one.
Because, you know, it's like Jesus fanfic. They just edit it and, you know, all is good. But it basically, you know, they're a religion that believe that anyone who is not white has been cursed by God. And that's the mark, right?
Mark of Cain,
and so, yeah, and there was a scripture that said something about being dark and loathsome. And I remember someone saying that they couldn't be friends with me because I was, that I looked the way that I do, or I did. And also as a kid, I was like super tan.
I was gonna say, do you tan well?
Yeah, I tanned really well, and I was outside a lot because we didn't have a ton of money. So I was, I was climbing a lot of trees. But I remember my response and my reaction was like, okay, well, I guess I'll try to be less dark and loathsome, but knowing that there was really nothing I could do about that outside of like, okay, I'm literally just going to stay indoors over the summer. And it wasn't too long after that I, your amazing question of just like, when did you realize that there was sort of some sort of, currency there and a situation in which could be manipulated in my favor? It wasn't too long after that, because I could see how my existence was very intriguing to people, just of like, how did I even get there? What is the story? And so much of it at the time was, oh, well, God wanted me to be saved. And by the way, I want to point out that I had an incredible childhood. It was not an abusive childhood. There was a lot of love in my family at home. And I had a lot of friends. I don't want people to think that I'm being unfairly, woe is me. All of that being said, though, at the end of the day, I did not have a community of people who looked like me, who experienced the world the way that I did as being othered. I write about it a little bit, but when kids would say shit like, oh, so, do you eat dogs or whatever it is, I didn't have I didn't have like Korean aunties to like help me with like clapbacks. I didn't have people, and this was pre-Reddit, pre-Quora, like all of that. So it was like, I didn't have anyone to kind of help me get through that.
What was your parents' response to this when they would? I'm sure you had to come home crying if you were a kid. I'm sure there was tear-filled running back to the house days. What did they say when you were like, so and so called me a blah blah blah? What would they respond with?
Yeah, it was really, and this happens to a lot of people, whether they're adopted or not, but it's kind of the like, well, they're wrong because you're special, and especially within Mormonism, it's like, well, you're special because, again, like, you are here because God wanted you to be here. Mm-hmm. For others who are maybe not adopted, or, there's always like the being a gifted kid. Look at what that's done to us. Look at that. You see all of the memes all the time about like, oh, were you told that you were special and you could do anything in your life, and now you just sit there in trauma spirals all day? Like, me too. But it's real, right? Like, mm-hmm. These actions have consequences that I just don't think that we as a society were even able to realize. And we, prior to starting recording, one of the topics I know we're going to address is sort of, influencers and what is a scam. And I think that all of this is tied together. And at risk of sounding like a broken record, I really don't want people to think that I'm using any of this as me trying to avoid accountability. Like, part of what I'm doing with writing this book and going on podcasts and, running my mouth is to show that I have taken full accountability. I did really fucking shitty things to people. I hurt so many, and a lot of them, especially in the beginning, were people who were friends, who cared about me, who all they wanted to do was help. And I knew that, and I took advantage of that. And to go back to your original question of, when did I feel like I had that power? Mm-hmm. A lot of it was honestly growing up in the church and watching them and watching how they were able to say whatever the fuck they wanted and have whole congregations, whole swaths of people just believe blindly and follow these rules to a T. Or if they don't follow them, finding themselves really in spiritual discord, in like distress for not being able to pay their tithing, or for, I mean, it's a very oppressive religion. And something that my current work does, and that we're trying to address, is it's really easy, especially now, for people to be like, oh, haha, Mormonism, like it's this bubble in Utah. We have all of these reality shows, so easy to binge them and just laugh at these people. But what the general population does not realize is how insidious the church is and how much money they have. They have more money than the Catholic Church. They have billions, with a B, billions of dollars in tax shelters, on the stock, like in the stock market. It is a business. It is not only a business, but it's a fucking multi-level marketing scam.
Yeah.
So it's not lost on me that it's kind of, a scammer born out of a scam. And Korean adoption, don't even get me started on that, because that's legitimately
look, in the East Coast, I don't know why in the East, like there was some kind of sale in New York from like 87 to 92, but there's schools, or there were schools, for, these Korean adoptee kids to like learn the language.
It's so real. I mean, babies,
yeah,
we were used as currency. And again, with the Church of Latter-day Saints, they funnel a lot of money into legislation, yes, in Utah, but also in other states. They were a big, they donated a lot of money to California when they were trying to pass, multiple
the gay marriage bill.
And that was, so people, enjoy your shows. I'm not trying to yuck your yum, watch whatever the fuck you want to watch, but please recognize and acknowledge that it's not just like, the people who are currently Mormon. It does have real life effects for a lot of people all over.
Now, this is interesting because, in the book, you say you're an angry young person. And, right, the more I'm hearing you speak now, I can understand that youthful frustration. Most young people are trying to figure out where they stand in the world, and any slight diversion from normal is going to make you even more anxious, angry, whatever A word you want to put in front of there. And there's a certain point where you realize that maybe your looks give you a certain currency with dudes. And you do like dudes in bands.
Yes.
And one of your first cons is, am I getting this right? Am I getting my timeline right? Lying and saying that you're a promoter or you worked for the promoters for some festival?
Yes. So I mentioned this to you earlier. I've always loved music, and I've always wanted to be seen as, being very cool and being a tastemaker of sorts. And, I mean, I think, again, with the moniker I was given later on in life of, being the hipster grifter, I don't necessarily contest either of those words. I definitely was but I have always loved music, and I grew up, fortunately, in a Mormon household that allowed secular music. So I learned so much from my dad. And I always wanted to, that's what I always envisioned sort of my life being, where I wanted to work, what I wanted to do was around music. And so I did actually get like a gig job for this local music festival company. And it was like to go and pass out flyers and like stick up flyers on community boards and shit
Back
like
in
that.
the
Right.
day,
So
street team. Yeah.
it was a street team. Yeah. 1,000%. But I, of course, in my mind, that expanded, and I, pumped that up. I pumped that shit up. And then all of a sudden I was, like one of the organizers, and so when I would go to shows and I would like tell people this, I would tell, these band members, these guys that I, had these little crushes on or whatever. And sometimes it wasn't even a crush. It was literally just like, oh, there is a part of me, I think, that just literally and figuratively got off on getting people to believe whatever bullshit I was selling. And I'm sure that some of it makes sense to listeners, and others are just like, that you are just a psycho, which, by the way, I've been tested for and I'm not actually.
There's a psycho test?
There's very much like a, are you a psychopath? Are you a sociopath? Yeah. And I'm not. I'm actually.
What does it have you as?
I'm too empathetic. Other unmitigated mental illness. No, I just, it was a lot of anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, mood swing disorders. So I think there was just a part of me that was like, people always ask, so what did you need the money for? Why were you stealing things? Why were you stealing? Did you have a drug problem? Did you have a gambling problem? And I was like, my addiction was, and always has been, and will continue to be, acceptance and attention. And so I never felt like who I was, even though being adopted is interesting. Going through it though, living life with that information as a younger person, I was just like, okay, I don't want to talk about that. I think the point I'm trying to make is that I didn't have to lie to be interesting. I think I already was, but I wanted to be interesting in the
for
ways
other reasons.
For other reasons, and reasons that like I had a say in. Of course, everyone's just born. No one's asking to be put on this earth, right? But it felt extra for me of like, oh, I never asked for this, but I also didn't ask for this, and then I didn't ask for this. So how do I make a mark? It got to the point where I didn't care if what I was going to be remembered for was good or bad. I just wanted to be remembered, and that kind of eclipsed everything. And so these horrible, fucked up decisions that I was making, people find it hard to believe, and I totally get why, but that I wasn't sitting there like plotting and planning. I didn't have my cork board with red string. Like,
it doesn't feel like it because the things you do are a little tart.
Not that smart.
But and I mean that honesty, because when you're talking about wanting to be part of the music scene in the book, and then hearing you say it now, and then even off air you saying that you like certain kinds of music, and knowing people, I'm old, I'm 10 years older than you, but knowing people your age that started as like coat check girls, and now they're huge, like name a major pop star and they're the tour manager, right?
Totally. Or they are or it's like Japanese Breakfast, where that's literally, she started as like coat check girl and is now, I mean, she herself is a fucking rock star,
right? Yeah, there's avenues that you could have gone had one person given this much of a shit and been like, oh, the chick that passes out the flyers, yeah, why don't we have her do this thing? Oh, the chick that does, and then you move up, you're in local venues, and then the tour. Like, my job went from a guy that passed out flyers to a dude that was doing numbers behind the scenes for big festivals like Coachella, right?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how quickly you can just fall into stupid jobs in that world that propel you to just travel for a living. Yeah. And again, reading this and knowing where you are too, right? I know Salt Lake. I know the venues in Salt Lake. I know the places that you're talking about in the book. So it's just like, oh fuck, had we would have met this girl, we probably would have helped her and introduced her to blah blah blah. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, I sort of resist a little bit of that, only because I don't feel like would that have saved me? Like, I definitely, the trajectory, could have changed. Would that have made me
Who knows? Maybe you would have done a bunch of blow with fucking
exactly, like it could have been,
the
yeah,
guys from High on Fire and then been a full on meth head in 2 years. I don't know, but you could have been on the road doing real shit instead of, it would have been way cooler than hustling because you would have had something cool to talk about. Like, oh, that's fucking Kari. Kari tours with so and so.
Right.
It's fucking
Right.
Kari works at the blah blah blah. You know
Instead,
how
I
it
was just
is.
lying about it. Instead, I was just like,
Yeah,
not
then you
actually having
no, it's
any of
different when
the-
you're the cat. It's like, oh, dude, that's Kari. She just got back from
Yeah.
But the first scam you pull, again, really speaks to what you said about you didn't have this planned out, and it's like, homegirl, someone's going to be really angry, and again, by the grace of someone's God, I never read about you getting the shit kicked out of you, but you were lying
Yeah.
about your payroll check, like, oh, the bank's not.
I mean, so that was the scam, right? It initially started with me writing bad checks. I'm gonna guess that the demographic of your listeners know what checks are, but it's fucking funny that I have to explain literally to some people. I'm like, so checks are pieces of paper that you could literally ascribe any amount of number, any amount to, and people would assume that you have it. And then like Gen Z will be like, wait, like any amount? You're like, no, literally, you could just write like $10,000 and then hand over this piece of paper. So then, it would take the banks anywhere from, a couple of days to like a couple of weeks sometimes to have these checks bounce. And, that means that they realized that I didn't have money in my account. And so in the beginning, it was always like, okay, I do need this money now, but I am going to have it to pay this person back by the time they realize that the check has bounced. And there were a couple of instances where that did happen. It was very much like cause, reaction, action, right? I was not thinking about anything. And that is my downfall, is that it's so funny because I read these things where it was like, they're talking about me like I had, like this master plan. And I was like, first of all, if that were the case, I think I would have taken a lot more from these white trust fund dudes, but also
$75 a pop. And you're not, and you're spending
Metro cards,
Right, yeah. You're talking about spending the money, you're hanging out, you're spending the money, so you're the good time gal. And you're living with a cat, a dude who you're like, oh, my check. And well, if you just front me the check and get it cash, and I'll give you the cow, I'll write you a check, and you're just, bouncing checks all over.
Yeah. And it got to the point where like I basically ran myself out of town because Utah, especially if you have any sort of, like it's insular already, but then you add in interests like music or art, and then you add in like all of these other layers, your pool of people, of friends, gets smaller and smaller. But the worst part of all of that is that those people really cared about me. Like those were people that I had been friends with. Those were people that I wasn't thinking as I was doing this, like I'm fucking them over, which was not always the case. There were times later on where it was more of a, this is what I want to be doing. But yeah, these people just wanted to help me. And so I basically was like, all right, I've just got to get out of here. And so I moved to New York. And I moved to New York without ever stepping foot here. I had friends who had moved here and they were like, you will love it. You are a big city person. And I think one of the questions that you had asked earlier, was around just I think you were alluding to like if I had been somewhere else in the country, would these things have played out like this? And I really don't know, but when I got here, I was just like, it was like I was smacked in the face with culture. Like, not only just like the kind of food that was available, obviously the people, but it was just so many things that I had not experienced before. And it was like, you know, having my eyes opened to, oh, there are people who are out there like you, but also there are troubled people out there like you. Like, there are fuck ups out there like you.
Yeah.
And I think that was really, that would have been so important and beneficial for me to know back in Utah, is that that fuck ups exist, and that there are because, you know, something that the church does is like, it makes you think, because everything is bad, it makes you think that, you know, and this isn't just the Mormon church, obviously a lot of people with religion have experienced this, but it makes you feel bad about your like actual natural instincts and desires, right? And your like biological, like just what will happen to you as a human being. And so, you know, when you grow up thinking that, like, I mean, I don't know, like that masturbating is a sin that's going to fucking send you to hell, or just the color of your skin is going to make it so you can't get into top tier grade A heaven, you always feel like you're wrong, right? I always felt like a fuck up. And that was the really interesting thing, is that when I did start actually fucking up, I was like familiar with
it's
the
a
feeling.
Comfortable place to this is the stuff I talk about when I don't want to get into it too much here, but there's a comfort you have in navigating in a certain amount of chaos. And I think the book does portray that, when, you know, again, you're an angry young person, you're hanging out with the bad kids and you're stealing a little bullshit.
It's so nice of you to be like, you're hanging out with them, not like you are the bad kid. I was arguably the worst kid that came out of the bad kids.
I mean, you're the one that has
that group, at
a
least.
news story, right?
Yeah.
But you know, you're doing the things, and these are things that, depending on your class status in life, it's a phase, and then you go off and actually live your adult life. But you know, you don't have the trust fund, you don't have the parents that can pay your rent. So you move to New York, and now are you finding yourself even more of a bit of an item, because it's like, it's super hipstery, sceney time in New York? Do you have bangs and the tattoo?
Oh,
Are you the
God,
total
do I
package
have
at this
bangs?
point?
Did I have side swooping bangs that I wore a headband
No.
around?
Yeah,
Like
the side, so you've got the side bangs and you got the tattoo.
There was so much spandex, so much camel toe. So yeah, I was an item. Are you kidding me? I'm like
So
walking
these
around
dudes,
and fucking like suction, like in like,
you're meeting these dudes and they're looking at you like, damn, who is this chick? What's interesting is, this is the reverse New York story that we are told about the big city. You're supposed to be from a podunk town, but you actually are from still a major city. And you get to New York, and it's supposed to terrify you and swallow you up whole. Whereas you tell New York, no, you're here with me. And you start.
Yeah. It's like it was the frenetic energy of the city. I just vibed with immediately. You know, I talk about how, in line with what you're saying, you know, everyone thinks of New York as this place where it's like, it's hard and it's tough. All of these things are very true. But I think that New York's secret is in like its passivity, right? It's the being on a train and like not making eye contact with people. It's the just like shutting the fuck up, minding your own business. I like that we have all of these things, right? It's such a multifaceted place. But I think that when I came here and started to meet some of these people, I'm a queer woman who always knew that about myself, but it's really interesting to look at who my victims were, specifically in Williamsburg, in Brooklyn, because it's all of these just like white guys. It's like the people that I was taught, or I don't want to say taught, it was kind of people that I had crushes on back in Utah, right? I could have come here. I never once stole money from a person of color or from like, you know what I mean? Like, it was a very targeted demographic. And I'm sure that I wasn't always spot on, but I had my little ways of trying to figure out if someone, you know, was, if, you know, if their parents were footing the bill on everything. But I did come here and again, it's that attention. It was that just almost crippling need to be accepted. And sometimes that acceptance looked like, you know, just like picking dudes up in bars and going home with them. And, you know, I think what's really interesting about this, what made this story very compelling, it was kind of a perfect storm. Obviously, you have me looking like me, but it was the first viral. I can actually state that it is the first viral like scammer story. And news cycles were obviously so much slower then, and now we scrutinize the news. We're like, no, fuck that. There's nothing about that that's accurate. But back then, everybody took the news as truth. They were like, oh, if a journalist is writing this, they've done their due diligence, right? Which, you know, it's unfortunate that that has never really been the case, but is definitely not the case now. And so part of what I think is so important about just the way that we look at people, the way that we look at punishment, I was always me throughout all of this. I was like trying different, you know, characters on, different personalities, but that was in a way that I think anyone in their adolescence, you know, I'm in my early 20s, late teenage years, early 20s during this. So you're not a fully formed person, you know, your brain is exhibiting the same,
and
you
you're
know,
away from home, so you're a
away from
whole
home.
new person. No one
You're a new
knows you.
person. And so the attention that I was getting was intoxicating. And it was also a thing that I was like, I'm still being me. So I'm still this like fucking weirdo. You know, I'm like my thing was always like, I want to make people laugh. Part of it is self-defense, right? It's like make fun of myself before others can make fun of me. But it's also just like I have always had natural storytelling abilities. And I think that, you know, that could have been channeled, like you were saying, into more creative endeavors, which is what I'm doing now. But at the time, it just turned into me lying about.
Well, you're also trying to
a lot of
survive in the city, right? And you have
Yeah.
the one thing that you have that people want is
A body.
Asian. I have a hot Asian chick, and you know,
Yeah.
oh no, low rise jeans. Oh,
No. And so, yeah, I would like go out to bars and I would write these stupid fucking, no, but you know what though? I still find them funny. So here we are. But I would write, I was like, no, I can't go to a bar and pick up a guy like the regular way. I have to do it the fucking quirky. Yeah, I was like the epitome of the like, yeah, random girl, right? And so I would write these just like stupid, salacious notes and then like slide them across the bar. And they would say shit like, I want to give you a hand job with my mouth. And just like the most like ridiculous things. But it was a great litmus test of whether or not this person would be fun to hang out with. Because for whatever reason, even though the intent may have been, I'm going to go home with this person, steal something from them, never see them again, I still needed for them to like me. And I still needed to like them, which is awful because it's like, I mean, it's all awful, but I only wanted to, I was so selfish that I still only wanted to be around the people that I wanted to be around.
Yeah.
Right.
These were also cool looking guys too. These aren't
sure, they could have thought that they were. I did at the time.
Because when I'm reading it, I'm picturing in my head, you know, some fucking douchebag with pointy shoes that, you know, thinks he's in one of the bands that were popular in New York at the time. And here you are, this hardcore chick that doesn't care about their indie band. And,
see, that's where you're wrong though. Or like
you cared about their indie band.
I cared, yeah. Like I enjoy all kinds of music, but that was definitely like I was in it for like the party of it all too, right? I mean, there's a reason that everyone gets so nostalgic and like indie sleaze is such a thing, right? Because it was fucking fun. And it was also the last time that not everyone had a fucking phone and camera strapped to them. So it felt like the last, I guess, like vestige like of like latchkey kid, right? Of just being able like to run around and cause chaos and not have the, I guess, like everlasting repercussions of the internet is forever. I unfortunately caught the tail end, the tail end of that, and the beginning of
the forever part.
virality.
Well, at least you were so young though. But let's back to the New York though. Does that indie scene make it easier for you to find marks?
Yeah, because like NYU, Columbia, like it's just New York made it easier, right? Because it's like the just level of wealth here, and the one of the things I've always loved about it is that, you know, you can go to a pizza shop on the corner and you can be getting, you know, eating pizza next to a hedge fund manager who makes millions and millions of dollars, and then like a person who lives on the streets, right? And I think that that's so amazing, but at the same time, it's proof that there's just such a there's just such a wealth gap here. And so I would go to the bar. So like some of the things, I mean, I remember watching guys take money out of the ATM, and you know, they would leave the receipt. And so I would go and look at the receipt to see how much money was in their bank account. And it was like, okay, clearly, you know, there are a lot of zeros here. There are a lot of digits. The decimal, I've never seen it so far over.
Damn.
And like, you know, part of the story that people really latch onto now, but did back then as well, were people who are just like, well, these fuckers deserve it, you know? And this is also during the time, you know, this is 2008, 2009. We're in a very different place. You know, we're getting out of a recession, basically preparing to go into another one. Obama, you know, we had hope, things were changing. But also, you know, it's a time that is just sort of fraught with like not really understanding what kind of freedoms we had. And it was a lot of people, I became this sort of like feminist folk hero, which I would never claim for myself, but it was very much like well, look at who these people are. And again, it was not as much money as people.
So you never would have banged a broke dude.
It's so nice of you to think so highly of me, but I have banged plenty of broke people in general, but broke dudes, yeah.
Like, motherfucker lied on his. This is a fake. I don't know if you remember this. Maybe this is before your time. There used to be, back when you would write your number down, there was this company that made fake ATM receipts.
Oh my God, I did not know this.
On a notepad. Oh. So you could have like this notepad of fake ATM receipts. And, you know, oh, let me get your number. Oh, here's the, I give it to her.
Damn, that could have come in handy for me.
And you'd have been,
I'm glad that I didn't know that existed. That would have been another felony charge of some sort. I already collected a lot of those. So, but, you know, it was like I was this person who was just odd, but charming. And so the media just picked it up and people kind of fell in love with me and fell in love with hating me, both of which perspectives I get now. But, you know, it became such a big thing, like you're reading in the excerpt, the Gawker and, you know, the Observer and, you know, all of these websites and publications were just posting about me a lot. And it got to the point where there were, people would like go to McCarran, like play on their fucking, you know, kickball team or whatever, and then go out and look for me. Like there would just be like roving. I met this person who was like, oh yeah, I spent like a good 10 hours just like smoking weed, walking around with people on a nice sunny day. You know, we would stop at bars to get drinks, but we'd be like, maybe she's here, and like keeping a lookout, which I'm like, oh, I'm glad I provided, you know, some entertainment for people.
Now there's two things. I know we've been going for a while, but can you stay for a little bit or you have to go?
Yeah, I can stay. As long as you
Um,
think it's interesting. I'm just fucking rambling here. So I'm sorry to
no,
your
no, look,
audience.
hey, woman, I read the goddamn book, so we're going to talk about the goddamn book.
I appreciate it, by the way. Also, thank you so much for reading it.
So, you're doing this thing with these guys and they're going through their wallets and taking stuff. Eventually you come out. I don't know about come out is the right word. You're a little more honest with your sexuality, and you say in the book, I've always pictured myself in a serious relationship with a woman, and then you meet a woman who I guess is similar to you in that way, where it's like maybe there's an ambiguity with the youth and the freedom of not being home and like, hey, we can all just fuck. And so you meet this woman who you like, but eventually she does get a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And it kind of fucks you up because you're like, no. You're the one that I can actually be me with.
Yeah.
So you again double down on the, oh fuck, she did. And you lie and say that you have cancer.
Yeah. And this is by far, I mean, listen, stealing money. That is what that is. I think it's really interesting, and something that I do try to talk about a lot is, everyone wants to talk about the financials, but I'm like, did I fuck up their ability to have meaningful, trusting relationships in the future? Where we don't, at least the media coverage didn't really talk about that much. So yeah, that's the thing that I'm the most concerned with and that I feel the absolute worst about. So yeah, I lied about having cancer, and it just coincided with a time where, there was like a momentous, something momentous was happening in their relationship. They were going to be like meeting meeting each other's family. And so, that was, I don't even know what to say about that. Outside of that was definitely one of the shittiest decisions I've ever made in my life. And it's a long list of shitty decisions.
But that's the one that for me, again, if you guys, wherever you're watching or listening to the show later, there's a link in the description. You could pick up Kari's book. It is worth the read just to kind of examine, more what we're talking about here. But what blew me away on that one, and it is kind of, I'm sure people would have trouble saying the word heartbreaking, but you're a human being, dealing with life in your own way, and you just keep digging a hole.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of people I've met over the years. Myself, I don't live in Mexico because I like surfing and tacos. I've made some mistakes in my life, and I can afford to live here. And when you do the cancer lie, because you do have feelings for this person and there's complexities wrapped around your guys' friendship relationship, there's a sadness for me because here you have this young person that's in, away from home and trying to figure shit out, maybe not going about it the best way. And you finally meet something where there's a realness. And in a lot of the book up into the cancer story, a lot of the relationships, people don't even have names.
Yeah.
So either that's for protection or it's like that. These are just people that I knew and now I don't know them anymore. And you admitted earlier in the show that you pissed a lot of people off because you were, doing the whole check thing. But it also speaks to why maybe you feel so detached from a community when both people can break so easy. Mm-hmm. I'm friends with people that have literally committed capital offenses like murder, right? Mm-hmm. And their families and friends still talk to them when they were inside, and they weren't in there for murder, for like defending themselves.
Right.
So even you, it almost feels like, and if I'm getting too much here, then please stop me. It almost feels like you're struggling also to form connections, like real connections with people.
Yeah.
And that makes it easier to sever those ties. And then you finally form a connection with this young woman, and then you did it again.
Yep. I mean, it becomes almost like a reflex, right? And I have put in hundreds of hours in therapy to try to, crack some of this code. But I think a lot of it is very kind of just like abandonment issue, adopted kid 101, right? Of, okay, well, before this person can leave me, I'm going to blow it up, and I'm going to do something that, I want to be in control. And that, even if that means me being a piece of shit, like at least I'm the one making that decision to be a piece of shit. But I think that there's something to be said for, our society loves to think that people are born good and then they turn bad, right? Mm-hmm. I do not believe in there being good or bad people. I believe in good and bad decisions. And there are people who literally do not know how to make a good decision, how to make the right decision. And that's for a number of things that I don't really have to talk about, but it's societal, it's systemic. And so I would love to encourage people to fucking acknowledge that. And, we get into these well-worn pathways, both in actions, but then neural pathways. And so I think that with her, yeah, it was just I was well, I don't really know how, to your point, I don't really know how to have genuine relationships with anyone, much less a person that I'm feeling romantically connected to. So yeah, I'm just gonna fucking blow it up. And but I still want attention, and I still want sympathy. How do I show how badly I'm hurting? Okay, well, I'm gonna pick and do the thing that causes the most emotional reaction. And I can talk about it now in the way of I was thinking about, but I wasn't actually. It was not I just acted. Now I can, slow it down a little bit and really think about it. But at the time I was just oh, well, you know what? I'm feeling sick, gonna go what? But I just, part of learning how to make the right decision is learning how to, slow down. And that does not come easy, especially for a confused kid. I just really, I'm an abolitionist. I also, by the way, I feel like I can point it out on this podcast specifically. I feel very bad about the money that I stole from people. I feel 0% bad about money that I stole from banks and from loan shark check cashing companies. I applaud myself for. And interestingly enough, the reason that I had felony charges, none of my victims actually, I don't want to say none of them took me to court, but they literally took me to court just to get the money back that I'd taken from them. Mm-hmm. The reason, and that was civil, but the reason that I ended up being on a most wanted list and, ultimately being incarcerated is because the banks came after me. But fuck them. Predatory. Thank you. Oh man, I need sound effects for my daily life. It's really enhancing my overall experience of being alive right now, which
unfortunately this soundboard has no sound effects that you should use. We're coming for you, nigga. You probably don't want to.
I can't, but if you followed me around, press that button.
And you pointed sternly at
And
someone.
I put, and I'm like, hit it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the thing about being on a most wanted list too is it gives me amazing street cred. I win every, like icebreakers where people are like, okay, we're gonna get to know each other. Tell me, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking win. But what was so interesting about it is that this was the time of Bernie Madoff, right? So like my story was next to a story about a man who was defrauding millions and millions and millions of dollars from the elderly. And it was so interesting now to look at how much kind of like, I guess, just cultural real estate my story had compared to this other thing. And so one of the reasons though that I ended up on this wanted list is it was Utah's most wanted list. So when I moved to New York, my dumbass is like did not think anything of it. It was like new starts because I did move to New York with the idea of, okay, I'm putting all of that behind me. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to get a legit job, hopefully in music, hopefully with something cool. Not realizing that I had warrants out for my arrest because I had just fucked all of these people over. So eventually, I get a job at Vice. And to me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm making my dreams happen, right? This is the thing they were the fucking purveyors of cool. Like whatever you think about them.
No, they really
were. They were cultural juggernauts, and it was the kind of culture that I felt I was a part of, right? It was the appreciation and the acknowledgement of being fucked up. And so they unceremoniously fired me. I was literally on a crosstown bus, scrolling through, on my original iPhone or whatever it was. And I saw my mugshot come up because I had been arrested in Utah before and then like let out on my own recognizance. And I remember seeing it and I was just like, oh, this is not good. And the article that it was attached to was, hey, before you hire someone, maybe you should Google them because they might be on a most wanted list. And so that was kind of like the beginning of the end. Or really, I guess it was like the beginning of the beginning, to be honest. And the state of Utah really fucking went after me. And part of the reason is because I think that they were made to look, it was just like the discourse around this story was so just like funny, but also it was the first time that like I guess hipsters had been represented in, I don't want to be like mainstream culture, but like definitely on the news like this, right? Like I remember so many articles, they had to be like, this is what a hipster is. And also this is what a grifter is, because that was not part of our vernacular like it is now. No. And so it was like having to explain both parts of this nickname is so funny. But like, so I think that there is just this like, fascination because it was sort of this highlighting a subculture that up until that point had really only been known by that subculture. So people loved it, but they also loved to hate it because they themselves were hipsters, right? And this is like Williamsburg, Brooklyn, this is trust fund kids, pushing out the communities of people who have lived in those areas for a very long time and sort of almost like cosplaying, poverty in ways. And I don't want to be like, oh, I was so radicalized at that time that I recognized that and this was my way of fighting back. But I definitely think that was part of it. I've always been a resistor, and like a shit stirrer. So yeah, I think that, the way that I was portrayed in the media, I don't know that Utah ever would have like come to get me and extradite me from the East Coast, like literally handcuff me on a plane, Con Air style, if it hadn't been for all of this media attention. Because again, the amount of money that they spent to get two detectives to come to the other side of the country, was definitely the taxpayers paid more to do that than I had taken. And, you know, again, that's not me being like, let's measure this, but it is sort of like, all right, well, they definitely just felt like they would look really stupid if they didn't nab me. And I had an insane experience.
You went to real
in
prison?
jail. Yeah, so I was in jail in Philly for a month. And then I was extradited. I went to Philly because I was like, oh, this is such a kind of like New York story, even though it had gone beyond that. I was like, maybe if I get away, you know, media won't follow me there. But Philly, for those of you who don't know, is like an hour and a half from New York City. It is not far. It's not far enough, that's for sure. And so, yeah, I was in a jail there for a month, and then they came and got me, and then I was in jail in Utah for around 9 months. And it was there, you know, it was a reformative experience, but it wasn't because it was jail. It was a reformative experience because of all of the people, specifically the women who I met while I was there. And just seeing how fucking, just how the odds are stacked against all of us, but especially, you know, women and women of color. And so I learned so much. I learned so much from them.
Did you learn how to play dominoes?
I learned how to spades. I
Okay,
fucking love spades.
You know how to play spades?
I love spades. That's a real recognized real thing too. When you find someone else who knows how to play spades, you're like, all right, you probably didn't just like learn that around the kitchen table. It's not like a game. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but spades was not a thing that I knew about until I went to jail. And it's so fun. But yeah, I learned that.
Spades is fun, by the way, not prison.
Not prison. Prison was not fun. I did learn how to like make a jail-made dildo. I learned all kinds of things. But I really learned how fucked up our carceral institution and judicial system is. And again, that's not even because of my own story. Like what happened to me, I do think is disproportionately unfair, but not in a like I didn't deserve it way, more of just like a really this is what we're spending our time and effort on. But for other people, I saw literally, I mean, you know, it was everything from being in court and seeing one of my, you know, fellow inmates who is white commit the same crime as an inmate of color and get a totally different sentence, like a much more forgiving sentence. It was seeing people who were being jailed for assault because they were being attacked by, you know, they were in like a domestic violence situation and they threw a hairbrush at someone. Like it was so eye-opening. And so, yeah, going to jail like radicalized me. And then seeing how the officers, you know, for women, especially the statistics overall are harrowing about how many women in life, you know, in the world throughout their lives have been sexually assaulted, right? Jails, prisons, they're not made for humans, but they're especially not made for women. And so you put people who have unfortunately likely had some sort of sexual assault in their lifetime in a fucking fishbowl where mostly men walk around and look at them all day. That is not a safe situation. That is not an environment that encourages anything outside of fear and infantilization. And, you know, then you get released with no resources and you're expected to pay also. People don't realize this. There are a lot of, especially with privately owned institutions, which most of them are these days, they are pay to stay. So not only are they making money off of, you know, from the government, from taxpayers for each body that is in jail, it's also, when I got out, part of my restitution was literally calculating, okay, you were in here for X amount of days times whatever it was, this is how much you owe us. And it's just like the revolving door of it. So yeah, it really led me to, you know, where I am now, which, I mean, I guess some people could argue and should argue. They definitely should argue. But like my work now is all around bringing light to these things through dark comedy. So I have a production company, and I'm developing a scripted TV show and an unscripted TV show that really just, uses my, I guess, like wacky, weirdo, salacious, ridiculous personality to talk about some of this shit. Because I'm really a believer in what you're doing too, just like education through entertainment. It's, that's how we're going to present these not new ideas, but like get people to actually listen.
To listen and maybe get
Absorb.
involved in the nuance a little bit more about the situations. Being that you served some time, that can go one of a couple different ways for people. I don't know if you ever heard the term wino time. I don't know if they say that in women's. Okay, so there's sounds like you didn't have wino time. You had like wake up time, and then there's this like it's almost like sobriety because you never really were a drug person or a drinker.
Nope. Not then. No. Yeah, I was still very like straight edge for most of
see how she says was, guys?
Yeah. Oh, definitely was.
She says was.
I will openly talk about what I do now.
Jokes aside, but there's something about sobriety for a lot of people that while they sometimes they're happy they're sober, but when you're sober, you're also kind of alive to the harm that you caused. And when you sit down for a long period of time, and 9 months can feel like 9 decades inside of a prison, and you're kind of, there's other people there and you're meeting people and trying to survive, but you're also kind of stuck there in your own thoughts, and you have to relive your mistakes, and you're kind of constantly confronted with the wrong that you've done. And I have seen a few interviews with you, and I don't know people's motivation. Are they trying to talk to you to hear your story, or do they just want to call you names? And I tried in reaching out to you to be, I don't know, as professional as possible, so you know that this isn't one of those, hey, you kind of hoarded up in New York, let's call you some names, right?
I mean, that would have worked too, but I do appreciate that.
Well, because I've never been locked up, but I've had long moments of solitude where I've had to think about mistakes that I've made in my life. I've had to think about people that I've wronged in my life. And then I worked with unhoused people. I was homeless for a time. So I have a certain understanding, maybe compassion. I think if you don't try to understand these individual stories, you'll never be able to even think about trying to solve these larger, more systemic issues like homelessness.
Yeah.
But because you had this moment, it feels like the next chapter in your life is trying to be some sort of redemption arc. But what I find interesting about your freedom and in the moment that you're free, and your age, because you're still a young woman.
I will take that compliment. My knees, my joints disagree, but I'll take it.
Like I said, I got you about 10 years, so you don't want to have my knees and joints. I'll fart and pull a muscle. But the point is, there's a new world wide open that you didn't have access to back then, and that is the internet. And if you just took the crime part out of your life and just said, I'm adopted from Utah, you could have a YouTube channel that a gajillion people would want to watch.
Yep.
Has that opened a door for you? And are you using some of the skills that maybe you perfected along the way?
1,000% And the best part of it is that like I now get to be my most authentic self, and a lot of that is acknowledging that we all have, the phrase of like, oh, we all have darkness inside of us, it's so cheesy, but like it's more of that we're all fucking multifaceted, like complicated people. And so now it's so interesting because I'll go into these like Hollywood meetings, right? And I basically pitch some of my shows and things with the same tactics that I was using, right? To manipulate people. And it's just the difference now is that I have much more to give. It's I fucking hate, I mean, it sends me into an anxiety spiral every time, but like looking at myself as a commodity, right? Because ultimately I'm like selling myself, which is just all kinds of fucked up. But that being said, I'll go into some of these meetings and I'll be like, see how engaged you are with me right now? Like, this is exactly how it was back then. And it's typically like, I don't say that to everyone. Part of, I think, being a good manipulator is being an excellent communicator. So I know, you can't speak the same way to everyone, nor should you. But it is typically these like white executives that I'll be like, oh man, I could spit in my hand and you would like lap this shit up. And I'll say stuff like that to them too, if I can like realize that they'll find that funny. And they totally do. And I'm just like, all right, transferable skills, baby. And that's the thing is that I, after this happened for 10 years, was a digital marketing director. And so it literally was transferable skills.
With a prison record.
And now, what was that?
Was it with a prison record?
Well, yes, but that's a whole other situation that I do write about. But like, man, we make it really fucking hard for people who have any sort of record to, again, this is the like, we root for the underdog, we're liberal and we love giving people second chances, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you fucking don't. Like, you might think that you do, but the world does not. And so I was just very lucky throughout all of this that I had access to resources that many, many, many people do not. But yeah, it's part of one of the things that I'm working on right now is a travel show where it's ultimately my way of talking about the things I care about and want to fight against, right? So capitalism, colonization, real big, important topics. And I hope that I will be able to, present them in a way that is, that just like is fair and balanced, but also just presenting the facts, which are the facts are that everything is a fucking scam. That is what the fact is. So it's more about being aware of that and figuring out how to play the fucking game. And so with this show, part of the bit that I'm writing into it is that my long con is getting a production company to foot the bill on all of my travel. And it's like, people love the fun and the character of a con artist, and it's like, okay, it in ways feels shitty. I mean, I don't love, how do I say this? I don't want to say that this is like what I like to be doing, but I do find a perverse sense of just like fun. And it's the you have to get people to be interested, and then you can kind of Trojan horse it, right? Like I think that this show, if all goes well, and it's going to be something where people are like, oh, a scam artist trying to scam people. Okay, that's interesting. But then it's like you're watching the episode and you're like, wait, how did we get from that to talking about the perils of, like Zionism or, whatever it is? But it's because everything is a scam. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that outside of
no, because we're trying to figure out, like, because there's a few things that I thought about, and I don't know if I think I said this to you off air. The way I found this woman was I've been wanting to do these shows because I hate me and Ben. I wouldn't say we get in debates. We have not heated. We have conversations. It's not heated at all about grifter and market share. And my thing is, people's opinions can shift over time in the world that I'm in let's just say left media, right? The oh so profitable fucking world of left media, right? And I have friends in this world that people call names, and I'm like, well, I can tell you that, they drive an old Prius, they don't own their home, they're not getting quote unquote right-wing money like you think they are. They just changed their tune. I know a lot of people that have changed their tune because they're kind of slaves to algorithmic data.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're on this side of the equation, you're looking at social media in a different way. You're constantly trying to see where the vibes are shifting, and you want to, create programming that you think is going to get you the biggest audience. And that can also get you saying things that maybe you didn't say a week before. So I've always looked at it as like, is that really a con person, or is that more about market share? And because of this confusion, there's so many more fucking scams every week.
Oh my God.
I'm reading about someone that took $1 million, and you're like, you could have Googled them. Yep. You could have Googled that they were full of shit. Was it Anna Delvey? I was like, who would have believed this chick? Like, seriously.
Men, are you kidding me? I can answer that so easily.
Right?
No, but it is like the scams beget scams beget scams. And now we're so far. I mean, but everything has always been a scam. This is not new, I mean, it just like government is such an easy example, but like, fuck, from the inception of, our country, it has been a scam. And I think that what's really interesting to me is, what is a scam? Like, there's the textbook definition, right? But when you look at, let's say, timeshares are a really good example,
Total scam.
Like, that being said, it's on the up and up in the sense that these people are signing contracts that lay all of this shit out, right? But these companies are specifically going after marginalized communities, immigrants, people whose language, English is not their first language, elderly people. And they're just hoping that these folks do not read these contracts. So they don't read them, they sign them, and then what? Then they have to hire a company that specializes in getting people out of these airtight contracts. Surprise, surprise, those companies and those law firms are financed by the timeshare companies. So it's just like this shit that is just so pervasive. But is that a scam? Because legally, it is legitimate. These people who are working for these companies who give you the tours and like the demos or whatever the fuck they are for you to get that free vacation, it's like they pay taxes. They it's like a legitimate job. Yeah. So I also find it interesting of like, to me, a scam is when you are taking advantage of someone by highlighting or specifically using, one of their, like a marginalized
payday
aspect
loans
of themselves, right?
Payday loan places that do title loans on your car. Those are the worst places to meet.
The fucking worst places. So that's one of the questions that I'm trying to answer, is because again, it too drives me crazy that, because everything, it's like we were talking about just anyone and everyone being called a grifter because you don't like what they said. And it's like, well, language is fluid, right? And these words take on different meanings over time. But yeah, no, like a grifter traditionally is like someone who's pulling the wool over many people's eyes with a specific get in mind. It's not just a person who has a differing opinion.
Which I don't know. That whole thing always pissed me off. So I'm looking for a picture because the program I used didn't have like a cool picture of grifter. So I literally Googled grifter and your pictures. And I was like, who the fuck is this chick? I was like, why the fuck does this chick keep showing up? So I was like, maybe I did a wrong search, and I did it again. And then another picture of yours. I'm like, who the fuck is this broad that keeps showing up? Like, I don't. And so I finally clicked a picture because it was pissing me off a little bit, because I was like, I don't understand what's wrong with Google. Like,
you're like, oh, the AI, it just made
like,
the search so much worse.
How many half Asian kids do I have to have and be like, okay, Jesus.
I get it.
Like, I get it. There was a time in my life But
It knows you better. The algo knows you better than you.
I was like, come on, man. Like, okay, I have these kids that are part, but not all of them. So anyway, I clicked the picture, and then it led me to, I think, either Vanity Fair or New Yorker article, and that led me to the book and the website. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And again, the whole thing was fascinating to me. It still is fascinating to me because there is a YouTube channel that's run by one of the bigger TV stations. I forget if it's Deutsche World or MSNBC. I can't remember. And every couple days, they have a new scam episode. And it's not like in 1984, this guy did this, or back in the days of infomercials, this guy did this. No, these are like people that are literally getting caught today. And again, this is fascinating to me because when you read your book, you're not pulling Elizabeth Holmes, Anna Delvey level scams, because you're literally just kind of, this is like survival crime in a way.
Yeah, I appreciate you for saying that. I've heard that before. It's hard for me to kind of accept it as survive, because to me, I'm like, I could have done other things to survive, but I do believe for sure that there was a feeling of what else could I really do with the resources or lack that I have in this moment. Yeah, it's really fucking interesting. And, you know, you bring up some of these other people. I think it's like it's curious to me how it's like two sides of the same coin, right? Where it's like, I am grateful and honestly fucking honored that people want to read my words, right? Or spend time with what I'm saying, and like that they give a shit at all. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to, throw this into, again, bringing awareness to things, blah, blah, blah. But then there are other people where it's like, all they want to do is be influencers. And part of me is like, well, I can't really blame them, like they're just playing the game in the way that they want to. But I'm like, anyone who has a platform, I think it's a disservice if they're not doing something meaningful with it. And like that meaningfulness could be just like bringing joy to people and having like a comedy podcast or whatever. I'm not even talking it needs to be like a revolutionary thing necessarily, but just some of the people that you were mentioning, it's like, okay, so now you just, I guess, like continue to go to fabulous parties, which good for you, get your bag, do your thing, you're on Dancing with the Stars, finger snaps for you. I really, no judgment, but I'm like, you have millions and millions of followers. Well, you have an opportunity to like talk about something real, and you don't even have to necessarily make a statement. It's just like, I think that I'm so confused about celebrity in general. Because as much as I want attention, it's not what people think. It's not
let me pause. Let me pause you right there, because I
like make sure that I'm like, how's this angle?
Yeah, let me pause you right there. But celebrity now, ma'am. After I saw the mug shot of you 47 times when I Googled the word grifter, then the professional shots show up where a photographer came. You're in a studio or something, and because you're going to be in a Real Deal magazine. I understand the quote unquote trappings of fame.
Yeah.
That being said, you want to be famous a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's any other way to answer that than saying, yeah. I think there's a difference, though. I really don't want to be an influencer.
Okay.
In the way that most people think of what an influencer is, right? I'm not on my Instagram. Yeah, I have a decent amount of followers. Like, I'm active on social media, but I'm not like shilling. Like, I do collaborate with some companies, but they're all, companies that I think deserve our money. They're like queer, femme-owned cannabis companies, for example, like shit like that, which I really, truly, I would never put my name behind something that, that I didn't fully believe in. And I've had the opportunity to, and that's not like I'm white knighting and like, you know, I'm so fucking great, but I really don't, I want to, I guess I want to influence in the sense that I would want people to listen to my actual like philosophies. I don't care about, yeah, would it be nice, I guess, to make money off of posts? Sure, maybe, I don't know, but that's not what I'm trying to do. When I pitched this travel show, I was pitching it just like my production company, you know, like I just want to make this thing. As I was having these meetings, they were like, no, you have to be a part of it. So it wasn't like I even thought of myself as being like on camera talent, but that's sort of what it's turning into. And I like having conversations with people. So, you know, something that I don't do that I actually unfortunately think I have to do a little more of, to your point of changing your behaviors to, you know, not get what I refer to as cuckerberged, which is because I'm always fucking shadow banned on Instagram because I talk about a lot of political things and I post a lot of thirst traps, both of which is looked down upon. So I'm constantly cuckerberged. And I, you know, it's just an extension of my personality. That being said, you don't see a lot of videos. I don't post a lot of like me talking into the camera videos because it's just not my thing. But the algorithm loves it. So I guess in a way I have to bend over, which is there anything more influencier than that? So maybe I am. I think I saw a comment that was like something about being a sellout. I don't know what it was referring to.
Oh, no, it was referring to
1,000%. Yeah. Like
no.
Yes, I would rather be called a sellout than the hipster grifter for sure.
The sellout language is there's a lot of people that say that the sellout just the concept is dead because the influencer in and of itself is a sellout, right? Because to me, an influencer in today's world is a late night infomercial person. There really is no difference. They're just billboards. That's why I don't like the term content, because content is just generic stuff you just throw out.
Yeah.
And when Patreon was first coming around, the guy that started it is a musician. And he's from the Bay Area where I'm from. And he was pitching it to musicians to be this extra way to make money when you weren't touring. But I always found the issue with it because I was like, well, he's like, you can just make extra songs for your patrons and they can. I was like, well, then they're gonna get shit songs. Like that's not why you like the band, right? And it ended up working for this universe, right? Because that's a little different for the extra content, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of just like I create content, I'm a content creator. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
What is that? I mean, it's, you know, it's funny, the infomercial thing. It's like that's so spot on, and I definitely strive to be less infomercial and more public access. Like I just want to be a fucking weirdo, and yeah, I just saw a comment. I just want to be a weirdo and like show ass, you know? So my Instagram is hot dog hand jobs.
Kari, I have some bad news. I feel like since you're being so honest, I should be honest.
Yeah, you tell me.
And my feelings were hurt the second time that you canceled.
I wasn't a canceling. It was a rescheduling.
I looked at it as a canceling.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And in my head, because I too suffer from low self-esteem. And in my head, I had a whole conversation that you had that maybe you did or didn't have. Like, I want to do this goofy black guys podcast. I want to do it. I want to do it. Because you're with your New York friends and they're hella shitty because we're in New York.
Wow.
Yeah, I have leftover Ice Cube, East Coast, West Coast beef. And you know, but you probably don't know that the co-hosts on this show are New Yorkers. And so I was like, I was like, the hipster grifter once again canceled. And I was like, you want to know who the hipster grifter is? This is a hipster, but just behind a paywall. Yeah. And so we showed some of your third strap pictures. So you do have a fan base. You do have a fan base.
Were they good? Wait, where did you find them?
Motherfucker, they're on Instagram.
Okay, good. Well, I'm just making sure they're the ones that I put out there because I do have a
no, I didn't go
problem.
Googling pictures to see your butthole or anything. No.
Well, you had mentioned in that excerpt the Philadelphia Inquirer posting a link to my nudes. Those were like, first of all, they're so old at this point. The ones now have much better lighting. This is the real out of it. I'll take that compliment. You should take that compliment. But yeah, so I was, as long as they're ones that I, you know.
No, it's pictures I'm not that.
You don't have to be. That's actually so fucking funny.
Yeah, I was like,
I was wronged.
So, and then if you guys want to know another funny thing. So I'm sitting here. I did an interview before, so I was already ready to go, and I'm like, there's a chance that this woman could fucking flake. So I sent her a very polite email, just in case you didn't see the link here.
I was like, what?
Right? And so I'm like, this chick fucking flakes again. So in my mind, I'm like, do I just cancel the show? And at the interview I did, I was like on a game show, and it kind of pissed me off because there's these terminologies they use that I don't really dig.
Like what? Well, you don't have to. I guess you don't have to.
Yeah, I can tell you it's gonna be on fucking air. I don't like the idea of living your own truth.
Yeah.
Like kind of living in your own reality.
Yeah.
And they were, look, the guy did a very good job of presenting conversational arguments, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the whole thing
game
was
show
about.
Format.
Kind of. And so I had just had a conversation the night before with a friend about the same thing, and I didn't read the email where the guy was like, these are the things we're going to talk about. I just kind of briefly looked at it, and I knew one of the things was going to be about Minnesota, and I had just written a thing about Minneapolis, so I was like ready. And I'm like, motherfucker, I should have read that thing a little more carefully. Because I really hate this. So I was all prepared. So I was angry before you came on to talk about this idea of, having your own individual truth in which you can live in and blah, 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 blah. And then you came on and you were fucking polite and nice. I had to like turn the dial real quick to regular dude.
And then you had to confess to me that you posted thought shots when you were angry, like a weak man, a weak, bitter man.
Now she's this.
We're coming for you, nigga.
That's her now.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I'm not the one pressing that button. It's okay. I have a black friend. I have a black co-host, like a black host. It's okay. A balloon pop.
Do you know the balloon pop shows?
The balloon pop shows? Like, wait, I know about balloon popping. It might be a different kind of balloon popping, though. Explain yours, and then maybe I'll explain mine.
They
might match.
Whatever balloon pop you're talking about sounds very dark. We're talking about these shows that started as these black shows where they would have like 6 women or 6 dudes, and a dude comes out and he's got a pin, and he's got like 6 women. And he says a little bit about himself, and then the women can pop their balloons if they don't like him.
If they don't want, okay.
Yeah. And then the host is a bit of an agitator. So she'll walk over like, hey, why the fuck you pop your balloon on this guy? And then she was like, well, I think his hair is stupid. And then the guy, do you want everything to say back? Well, that bitch is ugly. And then like, that's the show. And they have these even more hood derivatives of balloon pop shows. That is one of my favorite things to watch besides Tubi movies is balloon pop shows. And I play them behind a paywall here. So you should do they have Asian balloon pop shows now, and I am saying that because I'm being racist.
Listen, that's the reality that we live in. Oh, that was a nice touch.
Right?
Yeah. I think that if you have a balloon show, I would love to be on it. I would for sure want to participate like in your balloon show.
You want to have a whole thing of big black dudes.
I don't know. Yeah, like standing. I'm on the couch. They're standing behind me. Everyone knows that picture. I want to recreate that, and I get to pop some balloons. Are you fucking kidding me? But also,
oh my God.
the balloon popping, or what you were saying about, just how it kind of, the internet was that something that originated on the internet? Like that
It was this thing that interested. It started on Instagram. You have me looking for these balloon pop things now because I want to show you. I can't believe you never. Don't tell me about the black people in your life if you don't know about a balloon pop show.
Listen, I just don't watch a lot of stuff on the internet like that.
We're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. You got to know balloon pop shows, okay? There's a few things
you're the one who just called me out for being Asian, just like blanket statement. Like
the Asian balloon pop shows are the best.
Monetize that shit. If I had an Asian balloon pop show, I'd be like, all right.
Dude, the Asian balloon, I think you'll enjoy the Asian balloon pop shows because it's the same concept, right? And there'll be like an Asian dude, right? 6 Asian women. And they'll straight up look at the Asian dude, be like, yeah, I only date white guys.
Is it ever like multicultural, or is it
the multicultural ones are not as good?
As fun?
Yeah, give me the stereotypes. If you're already deducing it down to looks, what are we if not stereotypes? Let's just get the real deal fucking stereotypes and Oh,
did you find one?
I fucking found one. So, Jason's being creepy. You're just jealous. You guys are just jealous because you don't have balloon pop shows at the ready.
Because you don't have a person who's very willing to be a part of the.
Okay, let's get some sound.
I'm Brahim. I'm 31, and I pop because no disrespect. You look good. You look nice. Like the teeth with the gums, like it was like the black gums. It threw me off. I'm no disrespect. I was like, you got a nice smile, but that just threw me off. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I respond?
Yeah, of course.
As African Americans with melanin, scientifically, melanin people have browner gums because our melatonin tends to blend into our gums. So that's okay. Thank you.
I feel like we're the same complexion though.
Science.
Like, why would you be a douchebag, dude? Why would you double down on the douchebaggery?
Oh my God. Pop
So that's
the balloon, baby.
Yeah, that's what this show, it is a never ending. Now sadly, it's about like having the viral burn.
Sure.
If you will.
Yeah.
So someone that's really intelligent, in my opinion, who I think he's out of LA, he gets very strange groups of people. So he'll get like elderly people that he knows.
See, that's the one I want to be on.
Yeah.
I want to be like, I just like throw me into some like weird shit. Telling you should orchestrate one.
A balloon pop, go to New York?
Yeah, or if I'm ever, I mean, hopefully I would love to be in Mexico soon. But yeah, it sounds like you should come here and we should balloon pop. And then maybe it can converge with what I thought you were saying, which is like balloon popping fetishism.
What is that when you like sit on a balloon with no?
Yeah, there's all kinds of all kinds of things. Like lots of people like stilettos popping, like a balloon being stepped on, and like watching the stiletto sink into it.
Someone wants to see that?
Jason, someone wants to see everything. Literally everything. I know this because I be getting DMs all the time. Of all the crazy people, all the crazy things people want. And I say, how much? And then it goes from there. Also buy my book. There's many ways that you can get money in my pocket, you know? I'm an equal opportunist. Some people don't like to read, but they do like watching videos of balloons being popped.
She'll step on a balloon. She'll pop your balloon and say something rude about you if you like. Or you can just buy the book, and wherever you're watching or listening to the show later, there's a link in the description. Before I even write the description of the show, the link is to Kari's book. It's KARI, not KERI.
And follow me, Hot Dog Hand Jobs. You might have to type the whole thing in until I come up. But you know, I'm there. I'm there. I think I'm entertaining. I don't know. Audience, you just listened to me ramble for a long ass time.
So what sucks is, Kari,
Yes.
usually the more adult stuff that we talk about on the show, we do behind a paywall. And I was so preparing myself for another rescheduling. I did not prepare.
I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Like, that's not, I do not want to be known for being someone who does not fulfill their commitments. And it had nothing to do with the fact that you are whatever you called yourself. You were like, that you have a low self-esteem. I mean, now I'm seeing it, but like that had nothing to do before with my, and I'm going to stand by rescheduling because here I am.
You were here.
No, but
you were here. Yeah. And someone actually said, is this for real? Is she really going to come on this time? I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just preparing myself.
Okay, but here's the thing. I also didn't realize, like, and this is on me for sure, but I didn't realize until I like really dug in and started like watching that it was like a lie. I was like, oh, this is a thing that it's like being recorded and then that's kind of it. And like, I didn't realize like the, I guess, interactive component of it all. So yeah, now I feel extra bad.
Well, can I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
And invite you back
yeah.
to one of our champagne rooms. So just come back. We'll be behind a paywall. We watch ridiculous videos and say horrible things for a while.
I love it. The best thing about being like super canceled and dragged on the internet is, especially in my case, is a lot of things I was being dragged for and that were being said about me were true at the time. So it feels like this weird kind of armor almost. Like, people have a book come out. It's a big deal. I'm not trying to downplay that at all. But there are people who, agents, fellow author friends of mine, they're like, do not read the reviews. Do not go on Goodreads. Me, I'm like reading my good review.
Oh, reviewing
it. No, but I love it. And I'm responding to every single one of them being like, why do you feel this way? Or like talking shit.
You said, why do you feel this way?
Yeah, I mean, some of it is a learning because I do really actually appreciate constructive criticism. So sometimes when they're like, I found this to be boring or whatever, I'm like, but then sometimes people will say shit where I'm just like, okay, well, I'm clapping back. But the reason that I can do that is because the worst things have already been said about me. And again, some of them were true at the time. So now if people want to be like, oh, she's just doing this for the fame or she's just doing whatever, fuck it, feel like that. Like, I know that I'm not like, so here we are. But yeah, I would love to come back. I would love to champagne. I mean, that's my level of that's where I would like to be in the world is in Jason Miles in the This Is Revolution.
You want to be I think you would enjoy that space on this show because it is anything goes. We preview it a little bit on Wednesday nights when we do our sports show, which just devolved very quickly into breaking down game film of women fighting in the streets of Austin, Texas. Okay.
I mean, all of this sounds amazing. I'm in. Thank you so much for having me. I really, I knew this was going to be fun. There was never a part of me that was like, I don't want to do this because no. Honestly, this is the one that which ones I don't want to do. I really don't love the one I haven't really done many of them, but like the ones that are focused on just like it's like the true TV version of a scam story kind of podcast situation, where it's just like, what is this saying? What is this doing? Like, So I love anything that has to do with obviously radical thought, but it's also just fun. Like, not everything has to be, And I appreciate you for a lot of things, but, also helping to distribute the nudes. Because that's how people find me. I get so legit, though. I get so many people who are like, like came for the nude, stayed for the education. And I'm like, is there a better compliment, though?
I think the people that, again, this was just your Instagram. I didn't go search for any nude pictures of you. Also, I don't want that search history on my when the FBI comes. He was looking at granny porn and naked Asians.
Yeah, granny porn and balloon popping.
What kind of freak are you? I don't want that to be the things that my kids remember about me.
Yeah, I understand.
But what was I going to say? There is a site that I definitely want you to expose and discuss, and we'll get into that the next time you come on. I'll if you stick around after the end credits, I'll ask you about it. Maybe you even know about it.
Yeah.
But it involves part of your past life. And I think you would be very interested in how it functions.
All right. I'm down.
Again, wherever you guys
as long as there are sound effects.
Because I nut quick.
Whoa. Got a lot of sound effects.
I love it.
There's a lot here. Thank you guys. Everybody keeps saying the same thing. You know what I have to talk to her about. It'll be an off-air conversation. Thank you guys very much. This is a great conversation. Wherever you guys are watching or listening to the show, there's links in the description to Kari's book. We're going to go out with cartoons. Kari, if you can, stick around after these credits. We